You gotta love Tarjim for unceremoniously dropping a brand new faction. No fanfare, barely a week after testing. Still some bugs to work out, but they're like, who cares? Just toss it out there. They'll like it. It's brand new weapons. They won't complain about it. But you know what? I like the new stuff. I don't mind, a little bit of rough edges as long as we get new stuff out here. And you know what? We're actually going to talk about these brand new stuff right here pretty quickly. However, there's a lot of stuff to get into this form. A lot of it's redundant from like previous videos that I've done a million multiple times. If you just watch my previous video about like the synopsis of the test server changes, you basically have like 90% of the balance changes that are already in this game, as well as stuff around the special rarity. So we will be skipping around here, but I do want to pick up on a couple of pristine points here. So let's get started. So of course, first thing, they have the brand new parts. We won't cover this because I have beaten this point to a pulp, and so is every other YouTuber in existence. You'll probably get like 4 more videos from every other YouTuber that's going to go over, oh, what's so special about the array wheel? In-depth testing for 30 minutes. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that here anymore. we already have enough time on that topic. But let's go ahead and talk about the brand new in-game event, the Return of the Founders. So this event will go on until April 23rd, so I believe we're in like its 76th day now of this event. And essentially this faction is a temporary faction similar to the Knight Riders. However, you have to level up in it. So in this case, you have to level up 75 times to get to the very max level with rewards. You can get above level 76, but at that point it doesn't give you any more rewards. Now that being said, you can only get rewards intermittently without the battle pass, and you get a reward every level if you do have a battle pass. So with regards to all players, you get access to structural parts, recipes, portraits, and cosmetic items such as stickers, banners, logos, and whatnot that you can customize with. So kind of nice to see. And as a quick side note, all of these are unlocked forever, so you can access them even when the event is over. And that's it's not too bad. I don't mind that. It's a measly amount of stuff. A lot of grinding involved here, but considering the items are quite interesting and unique in their own right, I don't mind working a bit for it. Not to mention that the leveling up process for this faction is actually pretty fast, so I'll show you that in a hot second. Now they also have this battle pass, which is similar to like seasonal tickets in games like Apex Legends or Fortnite, in which you level up through a series of challenges, and each one can give you a reward, and with the battle pass you just get more rewards. So in this case, you get access to fully crafted parts. However, these ones are already fused with certain upgrades, so they cannot be bought or sold on the market, which is good. It'll prevent market saturation of the parts, and also doesn't really give a lot of unfair money to people, but just gives an upgraded version of parts they would already be crafting. So that's kind of nice. I mean, with everything in total, I'll be getting like 4 big ram reels, an upgraded lightning gun, an upgraded annihilator drone. Some pretty cool stuff. There's also in-game coins. This is about 100 per level up, and it's like once every 10 levels. And there's a bunch of cosmetic items, such as paint, stickers, decor, backgrounds, CKs, and holograms. With the CKs and holograms actually being pretty interesting. A lot of the CKs are for twin wheels, medium wheels, and for the Bigfoots, and they all have this nice industrial look, so we'll talk about those in a hot second. And you can usually tell which item is available to you as a non-Battle Pass user or to a Battle Pass user if you go over here to this article, and it has the whole list of every item that's available with the Battle Pass and without the Battle Pass. Now, as a quick thing to note, if you are not able to unlock every item within the game during the event, you will still have access to the structural parts later on down the line. They'll likely be included in some factions' prestige systems, so like the Nomad's prestige system or the Steppenwolf prestige system, so you'll still be able to earn them. However, you will not be able to earn the recipes. So any weapon that you want or any module that you want, you'll have to actually purchase it off the marketplace like a traditional pack weapon. However, these ones will be in higher volume, so they still will be relatively cheap like most purple or epic tier items, so don't worry too much about that. So a quick note about the Battle Pass. There are 2 Battle Passes here. There is the regular one and the Elite version. They essentially do the exact same thing. However, the Elite Battle Pass just gives you 15 levels right off the bat, while the regular Battle Pass only gives you 1 level right off the bat. So I would recommend getting the regular battle pass because that one's only $10, while the elite one is $35. So you're paying essentially an extra $25 for 15 levels, which is absurdly expensive. But I'm more than certain this is aimed towards people who want to actually be able to craft the items first. Because if you get there first, guess what? You get market dominance for a little bit, and you can make so much money for that. Like, imagine if you come first there to get the Annihilator drone, or to get the Big Ram wheels. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of money in your pocket. So coming back down here, if we actually go to the event level up system, it's essentially a combination of weekly and daily challenges, with weekly challenges being segmented into easy and hard challenges. So these are essentially going to be similar to the challenges that you already do for engineer badges. So this would be like, you know, kill 10 enemies on normal raids, do 5 easy raids, do X amount of damage with machine guns, assist your ally this many times, X, Y, and Z. You get the whole point. It's a bunch of missions like that with varying amounts of EXP as a reward. However, don't be intimidated by the amount of challenges here. You can actually still level up to the maximum level with this faction just by doing daily and weekly challenges. And to be honest, I was able to do this stuff within like 2 hours, so it's still fairly easy to do. Even if you're just starting off on this game and you're only level 10, you should still be able to do the majority of this content without a doubt. Because the hardest one, I believe, was in normal raids, and you can pretty much get there immediately with like 2 or 3 blue items, so it's not going to be too hard. So after mentioning all of that, let's actually take a look at what the whole event and system looks like in-game. So here we are in the game. As you can see, we have the faction right in the top right corner here, and we can go ahead and go to challenges or rewards. Let's go to challenges real quickly. So as you can see, we have daily, weekly, and additional weekly challenges, this being the hard challenges. Now, as you can see, I've already completed the weekly challenges. That's because they were fairly easy. Like I said, the hardest one there was just doing a bunch of raids, like normal or easy raids, which, not really hard, just time-consuming. But like I said, I still finished all of them within 2 hours. However, one thing to note, it does appear that daily challenges, you will always have one daily challenge to do, so there always will be a means for you to level up within this faction. It just won't be the most expedited, but considering that you only need 5,000 experience per level up, and you can get sometimes up to 700 experience per one of these missions, is pretty good. So you could level up like 2 or 3 times a day just through pure grinding with this alone, not including the weekly challenges. But let's actually take a look at what these level up and challenges actually get you. So let's go ahead and go to the first tier of leveling. So if you come down here to the very bottom here, so if you look to my left, I believe, you can see these orange check marks and these yellow check marks that just indicate which one's a battle pass item and which one's just a regular item here. So you can tell which one's a battle pass item from that previous list of parts that I showed earlier, but if you also click on an item, it will also show you it requires the battle pass. Now, I of course have purchased the $10 battle pass because I like supporting the game. But with that, you actually get a lot of cosmetic items, such as these corner railings here. We get paint, we got coins, we got banners and logos, we got fused weapons here. And that continues on. We got CKs for the lovely medium tires here, which look absolutely gorgeous. We also have more coins, more railings, more stickers. We got more coins, more stickers. We got a fused blockchain here. We got fused array steering wheels. More coins, paint, another fused verifier. We got a nice cosmetic cold storage here that looks pretty sweet. More coins, more tanks, structural parts that are available to everybody. More pretty systems here. Fused big ram legs, more paint. I mean, it just goes on and on. There is so many variety of cosmetic hologram items in this game. You'll be able to roleplay a founder very easily. Ah, yes, here's the one for the twin wheel, the CK Reach Stacker, which looks absolutely beautiful in my opinion. I love the look of these ones. That, or I could just be biased because I've been wanting a brand new CK for a lot of these tires for a long time. I guess you could say I've been tired of their aesthetics. God, that is such a bad joke. We also have the trigger here, which is nice and fused as well, with lighter extra reload time and faster rotational speed. as well as more coins, and you get the idea. It goes on like this forever. You know, you got more guns, holograms, light poles, more legs, holograms, cosmetics up the yin-yang. We even get the infused Annihilator drone at the very end, which, whoo, that's nice. That's nice. But you get the whole idea. That's what you get with the rewards with the Battle Pass and non-Battle Pass. So you'll get access to all of these structural parts, which still look really nice in the end. And I believe you also get access to the blueprints, even if you're a non-Battle Pass user, such as these ones right here, which look fairly nice in my opinion. They look quite exotic. Yeah, this one here has the Annihilator plus the... Oh, yeah. That looks kind of nice. And it definitely has a very industrial worker vibe to it, and I do like it a lot. Not to mention they also get the cones on this blueprint, but of course you probably have to pay for that, so... Or rather, have the Battle Pass for that. So that's just one thing to consider. So yeah, you still have access to those. And then once you actually earn the blueprints, you can come over here to the faction work page, which is in the faction section right up top. You can come over here, buy your workbench rental, and then go ahead and start crafting lickety-split whatever you like. So that's kind of nice. That's kind of nice. Now, we also have the new part special tier rarity here. I've already gone over this in depth already. It is basically an intermediate between rare and epic, with a lot of the weapons already being very similar to their epic counterparts, so no need to really go over it again. At this point, if you've been watching my videos, you already know about these to a great deal. They also did a bunch of balancing changes on quite a few weapons here, but it's mostly just damage increase, power score increase, durability increase, and mass increase or decrease respectively. So it's the same thing for the Piercer, Goblin, Junk Bow, Synthesis, Boom, Circular Saw, and Sidekick, with the exception of Emily just getting a straight up power score buff for whatever reason. So I can't really argue with these because the issue is that all the stats are raised respectively. So by all means, it effectively is a null. It's not really a buff or a nerf, because while technically everything's been buffed, they've also been placed into a higher bracket, so they're facing people with more armor, more higher quality weapons, so it's not really necessarily going to result in more performance for you. It'll just result in different games, I suppose. They also changed a couple of cabins here from the Bat, Pilgrim, Jawbreaker, so these are mostly just shifting around of tonnages, speeds, power, weight score, all that stuff. So you guys can take a quick second here. You can pause the screen and then take a look at these in depth yourself. But essentially, it's not really going to do anything to these builds per se. The power score has gone up on them, so you will see a slight bump in your PS. And actually, when it comes to a lot of weapons, I noticed that the power score actually jumped up on quite a few of them. So if you actually go over to here, my Caucasus went from 940 to 1160. So it looks like a lot of the epic tier weapons received a terms of power score. It actually bumped up their power score. So the Thunderbolt got a power score buff, the Caucasus got a power score buff, the Aurora got a power score buff as well. But smaller guns like the machine guns and tacklers did not. So it just seems to be very intermittent. So you may notice that a lot of your builds actually may have a lot more power score than was previously on there. So double check whatever you got so you can actually see whether or not your builds are still going to be viable. I also noticed that my cabin here too has less weight than usual and has a lot more tonnage. So you will have to actually look inside your game to actually see what happened, because there seems to be a lot of small changes to a lot of weapons that were not mentioned in here. So take a look at your build. You may notice that the power score has changed, the tonnage, mass, and all of that has changed. So you may have to do a little bit of trimming on a lot of your builds. So you can see we have the part upgrade rework system here. So now we have all part upgrades divided into groups, and the player receives one bonus from each group in the upgrade list. If a part has one bonus group, then they can only have one upgrade. If it has two groups, two upgrades, three groups, three upgrades. So essentially, if your cabin has three bonus groups, that'll be like damage, utility, and defense. Your cabins now would be able to get things like reduced mass, or increased durability, or increased power, or increased self-destruction radius. So it will actually be able to do a decent bit more when it's fused. And note that if you have your old fusions still, like a thermostabilized seal, they will still stay thermostabilized. However, you may see that they actually will have new perks on top of it. However, if your weapon is infused with an item or a perk that is no longer available, it'll just get a random assortment of other perks. So I will double check on the live server itself. Whatever fused items you have, you may notice they will change a little bit here. However, overall, the function should stay relatively the same, and you should still see a bonus to your overall performance. So overall, I think the changes to the overall fusion system are going to be quite nice. Seeing brand new fusions coming into this game and being more useful is always appreciated. As someone who never really dabbled too much into fusions because the fusions were always awful, I could see it being a little more appealing now. However, if you're a casual player who doesn't have a lot of spare income, this is not really going to be a system that affects you a whole bunch. You may see someone rocking around with a fused item or two, but overall, it won't really change builds too much. It won't make or break any builds really massively. So you should see pretty much no change to your overall performance. So I'm not too worried about it. So a lot of people are complaining about this thing being overpowered and that it's basically become mandatory for a lot of builds to be viable. And no, that's not really going to be the case. Maybe in Clan Wars, it'll result in you being slightly more tougher and having a little bit more damage. But the majority of Clan Wars games are based whether or not on tactics and build. Because if you're facing a bunch of dog teams and you're a bunch of spiders, it's just going to be rough regardless of what happens. Now we also have changes to the crafting parts system. Now, of course, with the special tier rarity, a lot of the recipes for epic and rare and common has been reduced to compensate so that you're not spending more resources, but you also now have the ability to craft 2 wheels at a time for certain wheels. Now, this is an exception to small wheels and medium wheels, because you can already craft those in bulk, armor tracks, hovers, meat grinders, mechanical legs, and big rooms, because already those are very small niche items already, so they probably don't want people to make a shenanigans ton of those. And they also mention here about the crafting cost reduction for common, epic, and rare items, which is always good. A lot of people are complaining that the brand new introduction of the rarity system was going to increase the grind massively, but it looks like they've actually taken that into account, which makes sense. I knew about this from a long time ago because they kept mentioning it explicitly that they're going to balance around the epic tiers. Radar changes are exactly the same, so no need to go over them again. They essentially become limited to 1 a car, and you can shoot through them now. Aegis, still nerfed, but like I said, already went over that. 30% reduction in shield uptime for the amount of cooldowns. They also added in some nice small 1x4, 1x6, and 1x8 frames, so builds that needed to utilize that to fully flush out their builds, you now have the option. However, I wouldn't put anything critical on these because the issue is that they are so small and so, fragile that any sort of damage basically instantly takes them off. The hover nerfs were put in there still, however, because the hover nerf was so minimal, it doesn't really result in anything. They also strangely increased the durability of the porcupine mines, but that's pretty much exclusively a Clan Wars change because the spark was instantaneously destroying the porcupines as they were coming outside the vehicle, so that's kind of nice to see. The Blight Cabin has been nerfed, which is great. That thing has been way too overpowered for a hot second. Blight Cabin with like double incinerators and any flame weapon was massively overpowered. So they reduced its duration and its damage by 10%. So that's quite nice. Hardened tracks, which are the Nomad tracks, have had their mass decreased by 100 kilograms and have had their power reduction reduced by 2.5. A very small buff, I suppose. I'm not really sure what the point of that was, but alright, a buff's a buff. We also have the brand new map Ashton Ring. I've already discussed this in a previous video, so that's still nice to see. However, they do mention that they have brand new alternative lighting and weather conditions that you can actually see on a video like this, where now the map can actually be dark and light at the exact same time, or have more atmospheric lighting, so that's actually pretty interesting to see itself. I haven't seen the brand new rain and weather system implemented, but seeing the night and day cycles are always nice to see, so that's kind of nice. They also changed clan battles, so they kind of fixed the amount of uranium that each tier can provide you, with bronze at 75, silver at 90, gold at 100, and diamond at 100. They also reintroduced the mechanic of safe leagues, which essentially means that you can't really rank drop to purposely seal club and farm. So a person in gold is going to stay in gold regardless of what happens. A person in silver is going to stay in silver, and a person in bronze is going to stay in bronze. The only exception is that you can drop out of Diamond League, but considering reward-wise it actually does to you, it's very, very, very minimal. But overall, I think that's actually a great idea. A big issue when I was doing Clan Wars was seal clubbing, because you would have people that were in top-tier clans going down to these very safe leagues, bashing around there, earning a bunch of uranium, and then just hopping back up to their respective clan after the whole thing is done. And I just absolutely hated that, because I was just sitting there with my, you know, protectors and machine gun because I couldn't afford anything super expensive, and I was getting paired with double scorpion teams, and it was just like, what? How am I supposed to compete against this? So it's good they actually changed that now, so that's going to be a little bit more nice. After that, we also have a bunch of miscellaneous changes here that happened from brand new music, new maps and rotations, new buttons, miscellaneous appearances, but they also did buff the caucus here. It now can actually focus on one target when you click on it, so hoorah for whatever reason. And I do appreciate the new music. More atmosphere, always nice to see. So that's they got a bunch of changes here that you can look at your own free time, and you can go ahead and discuss it on the forums whenever you guys feel the need. So that is just everything I wanted to point out here. Final thoughts about this, or rather initial thoughts, since this is now on the live server, is that the overall changes are actually kind of nice. The changes in the special rarity are definitely very welcome, because now there is an intermediate between rares and epics, so now people actually feel like they're earning resources and earning stuff when they actually come into this game. Not to mention that the special tier rarity adds in a unique building option for people who want to be power score efficient and things like raids. The faction itself, the Big Cojones item, is actually a really nice system overall. I don't mind the leveling too much, and while I dislike the fact that it's a temporary faction, at least it's here for a long time, and it's fairly easy to level up in. So as someone who's here pretty consistently, this won't really be an issue for me. However, I know for people who are going to be here in like 2 months in time, this might be a big issue. As for all the items that are added with the faction, I like most of them for the most part. The trigger still may be a little bit overpowered for my taste, but everything else seems fairly well balanced, and I do like the mechanics of the big ram, the verifier, and the brand new cabin called the Omnibox. So I do like seeing all of those into this game. As for all the aesthetic parts and all of the structural parts, I'm actually a big fan of all of them, because they all look really interesting, and they do have a lot of interesting geometry when compared to old or other faction parts. As for the Battle Pass system, I didn't think it was going to be as good as it is. I thought it was going to be way worse. I thought it was going to be way more pricey and way more forcing you to actually play it. But no, considering they have a $10 Battle Pass pack, I was actually quite nice and pleased with that. Considering that they could have gone the route of making it like 20 or 30 bucks and making it really exclusive and making it very costly, I'm glad they showed a little bit of restraint here and made it at least reasonable now. $10 for a seasonal pass here that you're going to be playing for way more than 10 hours is more than fair in my books. And especially with all the cosmetic items that you get with it, it's going to be great for anyone who wants to actually flesh out a new aesthetic with their builds, as well as just get introduced with a brand new style in general, so that'll be kind of nice. And also with the fact that you can level up this faction and another faction and engineers at the same time, this will be great for any new player that wants to get into the game, because you'll be getting so many rewards with all of these various systems in place. It's going to be really nice to see. If you're just starting out here, this will be great to actually buff up your overall structure. But I think other than that, that is going to be my thoughts on the whole brand new server. As you can tell, my voice is getting a little bit congested for whatever reason. So I think we'll call it good here. So I want to thank you all for joining me this evening. If you've had fun and you've learned a little bit today, by all means, consider dropping a like and following this channel. You can also follow me on Twitch if you like live streaming content. I will be resuming that eventually. I'm just kind of focusing on YouTube right now because it's been doing so well. But other than that, there's Twitter and Discord down below. That is YoShiz. And if you want to get notified whenever I go live, a video is posted, or if you just want to get inundated into a community of very small talking people. But other than that, guys, I want to thank you all for joining me this evening, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.